The year 2010 was pretty good for Earth. It's the year the first iPad was released and when Instagram was created. It was also the end of the Great Recession, the end of 3 years of financial stress on the average person. Other than a sad week or two when Toy Story 3 came out, things were looking pretty good. Well, other than the riots, natural disasters, war, murders, and unfortunately it's one of those sad stories we're going to be covering today. The world was getting better in general, but this isn't a story about the whole world. It's not even a story about most people. It's about exactly two: Michael Bruno and Sam Greer. It's the story of best friends who'd known each other for years, working together at their dream of making their own video game. A story about how their relationship would deteriorate as the years went on. For 2 years, from 2008 to 2010, these two friends worked together on an indie game called Dream Hunter. They wanted to join the burgeoning indie game scene and make the games they'd always wanted. In fact, I was a part of one of the forums they frequented while making it. I was looking up some of those old communities for nostalgia's sake when I stumbled upon their posts. The posts of two friends working hard, conflict between them slowly building, before they vanished completely in 2010. They disappeared into the digital memories of old forums and half-finished games, their story dissolving in time. But it's not gone yet. This is the story of how one friend would kill the other. In the mid to late 2000s, the indie video game scene was just starting up. There was an explosion of easy-to-use game development tools such as Game Maker, RPG Maker, Flash, and Unity. People passionate about games no longer needed serious coding knowledge to make them, and didn't need much money either, as these programs were often free, cheap, or offered a free trial. Now, it just came down to passion and practice, and anyone could have their own game. As more and more indie developers began making games, the desire for their own marketplace was growing. For a long time, Steam didn't accept smaller developers, but that changed with Steam Greenlight. Opening in 2012, it was a system which allowed anyone to submit a game and have the community vote on allowing it to be added to the Steam store. Less than a year later, itch.io, a massive open platform for indie games, would become available in early 2013. But sadly, this opening up of indie markets would take place years after today's story, and likely would have changed the outcome. In 2010, Michael and Sam had already been friends for years. They grew up together, living just a street away from each other and going to the same schools. They shared an interest in video games and would often dream about one day having a career in the field. Michael enjoyed programming in school and Sam enjoyed art, so when the pair discovered some of the easy-to-use game development tools that were growing in popularity at the time, they jumped on the chance to use their skills to fulfill their dreams. After trying out some of the options, the two friends settled on Game Maker. They joined several forums under the names of Giordano and Druid Zero, and were quickly known for being friendly and helpful. Despite helping others frequently, they rarely posted their own work, partially from that same fear every indie developer has that someone will steal their idea, and partially because they were perfectionists. Over time, though, their personalities changed. Personality shifting wasn't uncommon. A lot of the community were young, in late high school or university. Times everybody changes a lot. The two friends had entered their final year of high school in mid-2009. Balancing the increased workload and their hobby was putting more pressure on both of them. Michael's temper grew shorter and he was often angry, even insulting people when they couldn't understand concepts and belittling the work of others. Eventually, he was banned after physically threatening someone he got into an argument with. Sam stayed on the forum and things were fine for a while. Funnily enough, some forum members did miss Michael. Despite being so angry, he was a useful member of the community for years at that point. Sam only publicly posted once about Michael's ban, and it was to say that even if the ban was lifted, he didn't want to come back. But he could be reached at a certain email address if people wanted to contact him. And before you ask, yes, I did send an email to that address, but unfortunately there was no response. After the banning, Sam and Michael's relationship seemed to slowly deteriorate. Sam would often say that he was behind with his work and Michael wanted him to go faster. And he was getting more and more stressed out about it as time went on. Eventually, he announced that the code for the game was basically done and he just needed to finish the art. They changed the art style of the game multiple times. Sam said that the current art style was based on ample notes Michael had sent him, that the game was much darker now with lots of occult themes. Frankly, he didn't really understand this stuff, but he was just going on what Michael said. Sam would go quiet in the forums for long periods now, occasionally showing up to tell people he was still working hard and to vent some frustrations. Of clear concern to him was Michael's behaviour. He was increasingly irate at the pace of development and would nitpick minor issues in the art and call for multiple redos multiple times. Sam admitted that he just wanted to stop working on the game, but they'd spent so much time on it already it was hard just to stop. Then one day, a strange message was posted to the forums. Dream Hunter is almost done. Geo's gone, but the coding is basically complete. Just a little testing and art. If you want a beta test, please DM me. If there's no major bugs, then it should be done in 3 to 4 weeks. The forum members were confused. Michael was gone? Was he okay? While Sam did end up sending the beta out to interested people, he didn't respond to questions about Michael, and emails to Michael's contact address went unanswered. All the forum members could do was play the demo and wait. And wait. And wait. Sam never posted again on the forums. The game was never finished. All that remained of it was a demo that wasn't even posted publicly. What exactly happened to the two friends remained a mystery that faded into memory as time went on, until I chanced upon their posts while looking through the old forums. After seeing some of those posts and vaguely remembering the pair from the old days, I tried a little digging, hoping they'd gone on to fulfill their dream of making games as a career. Of course, the first step was emailing Michael, but to no response. At this stage, I didn't know where to start looking. I didn't even know their real names. Or did I? In going through Sam's posts, I noticed he slipped up once, accidentally calling Michael by his real name. It wasn't exactly a great lead, as the name Michael was only the most popular for over 5 decades. I wrote that down and decided just to search using their forum usernames, Giordano and Druid0. The only thing that came up was an old journal blog, apparently written by Giordano. He detailed his efforts in programming, annoyances at home and school, but also his great desire for fame and success. He felt he couldn't get it just through hard work. The world was too stacked against the little guys. So he turned to the occult, the blog talking about his research into Goetica and Solomon's demons. It was this research that ended up having the effect on the game's art style that Sam had mentioned previously. The blog also mentioned a small New England town, so I searched the newspaper articles around the time the last forum posts were made. Something shocking was lurking in those archives. An old news article from 2010 talked about the disappearance of a young man, Michael Bruno. Another article, 2 weeks later, days after Sam's last post. The community stunned as he admitted to murdering his best friend. Sam was arrested and pled guilty to the murder, not taking the stand, never giving a reason why, and perhaps most shockingly of all, not telling the authorities where his friend's body was. He was sent to prison for decades, and is still there to this day. So why did he do it? Why did the kind, helpful artist beloved by friends and family commit such a horrible act? There wasn't ever an answer for this, but maybe there's some hints if we look at their work. If the game was never posted publicly, how can we examine its contents? In the thread asking for beta testers for the game, some people posted bugs, screenshots, and other issues that they found while testing. Someone uploaded what was basically a full playthrough, which is perhaps the only record of the game in existence. It's very strange. Well, let's just watch it. You wake up in your apartment. Today is the first day of your journey. The moment you've been waiting for. Go get 'em, champ. Now you're outside. It's late at night and there's not many people around. You wander around until you die. You wake up in your apartment. Yesterday didn't go so good, right? Try again. It's nighttime again. The killer is in a different spot this time, so you avoid him and interact with somebody else. You enter their dreams. Your task is to find a desire hidden in this person's mind. Once you find it, the night ends and you wake up back in your bed. So far, so good. But as this tester kept playing, they found an issue. Each time you're killed by the stalker, he starts a little closer to your apartment. It becomes almost unavoidable, lunging at you the moment the level starts. Just when the tester thought he was stuck in a loop of getting murdered, the killer disappeared. The next time he woke up in the apartment, however, this happened. A truly unavoidable death. That continues, again and again, until around the 10th kill, when the scene changes. Instead of the killer looming over the player, it appears to be the player looming over the bed, and we're looking through the eyes of, well, it's not clear who. So let's look at the story that appears to be told here. A man exploring people's minds and seeing their hopes and dreams. He's chased by a relentless killer every day, getting closer and closer, every space invaded, until he snaps and fights back. There's a story of building pressure and stress here, where the main character, trying to fulfill his role, is in an increasingly dangerous situation. It kind of sounds like what Sam himself was going through. The question is, was this the original story for the game? Sam appeared to have this game to himself for at least a few weeks after Michael disappeared, and he seemed confident in his ability to change the code of the game, considering he was planning on fixing any bugs. Is this game his confession? To know that for sure, we'd have to see the state of the game before Michael's disappearance. But as far as I can tell, the only people who had that copy of the game were Michael and Sam, and nobody else. In mid-2010, the lives of two young men were forever shattered. Michael Bruno's life was cut short by Sam Greer. Their bright futures were extinguished, their families and community shaken to the core. Unless Michael's body is found or Sam talks, we'll likely never know exactly what transpired between the boys that year. This story is one that was nearly lost to the depths of time, carved into decaying archives and dissolving memories. We can't know the full story, but at least now the memory of the two friends and what they went through will last a little longer. Maybe someday the truth will be revealed, but until then, it's all we can do to keep the candle burning. My name is MYTHONICS, and this has been MYTHONICS. Hey guys, Morley here. While editing the footage together for this video, something really weird happened. I got a reply from that email address. Just take a look. Yeah, I don't really know what to think of it, but I'm probably gonna sleep with the lights on tonight.